Insomniac just gets Spider-Man. We know this, given the deserved success of Marvel's Spider-Man in 2018 and Spider-Man Miles Morales in 2020. But with sequel Marvel's Spider-Man 2, the studio proves it knows that Spider-Man is a hero when the whole world is on fire all around him, but also when an old man just needs someone to sit and listen to him. When a homeless friend needs a final favour, when the marginalised and the ignored need someone to fight in their corner, or just to witness how empowered they really can be. Marvel's Spider-Man 2 is a tale of Peter and Miles and Harry. It's a tale of Kraven and Venom and two Spider-Men. But it's also a story of New York, about its rich and beautiful history and its tenacious and vivacious people. New York and New Yorkers are the focus of some of the game's best content and quests. And this is a game stuffed with top-tier side attractions. Take a ride on a drone slipstream as it takes you over subways, under archways, on a magic and deadly ride. Stop to appreciate the everyday and take photos for Robbie Robertson of classic New York moments. Take flight and escort some pigeons upriver to the gentle, playful melody of Seabird by the Alessi Brothers. Find a blind lady an allergy-free guide pet. Help a student at Brooklyn Vision's Academy with a homecoming proposal. Foil a bunch of robberies, retrieve some precious pieces of history for the Harlem Cultural Museum, and you'll be able to take a tour of New York's greatest African-American musical legends. These are the moments where Spider-Man 2 shows its real beating heart. It's where the game is at its best, by far.
I'll be there soon, I promise.
Let's rewind though. Spider-Man 2 is called that for a reason, and we're not talking about numerical convention. There are two Spider-Men now, working together in harmony to keep the city safe. But both Spideys are faced with trouble in their personal lives. Miles is finding it difficult to write a compelling college application, and Peter is struggling to hold down a job and make mortgage payments on Aunt May's house. Both are also finding it difficult to make time with the most important people in their lives. Miles with mother and councilwoman Rio Morales, best friend Genki Lee and love interest Haley Cooper, a character who absolutely shines here, and Peter with Mary Jane and former best friend Harry Osborn, who has suddenly arrived back on the scene, mysteriously cured of a terminal illness. Balance is something that both Spider-Men are struggling with. How to be both strong and gentle. How to have the power to neutralize a threat, but also know when to hold back. But when Kraven the Hunter arrives in New York, it becomes very quickly apparent the targets in his sight must choose whether they're predator or prey.
Sir, perhaps a new hunting ground.
You must be new in town. Hi, I'm Spider-Man.
Gameplay-wise, not a ton has changed from the previous Spider-Man games, and it didn't need to. Swinging around the city is still giddy, glorious, and intuitive fun. Manhattan and its surrounding districts are playgrounds for both Spider-Man and you to enjoy. You can swing, run, jump, trick, and wall crawl, of course, but now, with the addition of web wings, you can practically fly too. Unfurled in the air by pressing triangle, the wings can catch updrafts or wind tunnels to push you higher and further. And mixing this with jumps, zips, and swings is an exhilarating way to travel. There are tons of different activities to do in various districts: hunting down wayward spider bots, working to improve plant and bee life, quelling remnants of a Sandman attack. And doing enough of these activities in one place will eventually lead to unlocking fast travel in that area. But honestly, even when you have it, you may just choose to swing or glide your way around town anyway. It's that fun. Or you could just hop a perch on a building and watch the city unfold around you. This New York is a really vibrant place.
About some shady characters.
Combat is also similar to previous entries, but given that you can swap between the two Spider-Men at almost any time in the game, this is where their differences are the most pronounced. At its most basic level, you have attacks to mix in with web shooting and zipping between enemies, while dodging when the appropriate Spidey sense prompt pops up. Amongst all that are gadgets like ricochet webs and upshots and web grabbers. And then, each Spider-Man has his own unique abilities. Peter has spider arm attacks that allow him to unleash a barrage of attacks at enemies. rush towards them at speed, or lift them up into the air. Miles, meanwhile, has his bioelectric venom abilities, allowing him to chain lightning or emit an evolved venom energy pulse that pulls foes towards him. On top of that, you've got environmental weapons to use to your advantage, or you could use stealth to take down some enemies instead, which Miles naturally excels at due to his camouflage ability. There's also a new mechanic, parry, in which you'll be required to press L1 when particularly challenging enemies flash a prompt changing from yellow to red. Doing so will leave them open to attack, while failure deals your Spider-Man huge amounts of damage. Combat is basically a toy box in which you can mix things up and get creative. Though it has to be said that despite unlocking new abilities, the rhythm of combat doesn't change much throughout the game, and fights can feel overly long as you dive towards the final act. Though it has to be said that despite unlocking new abilities, the rhythm of combat doesn't change much throughout the game, and fights can feel overly long as you dive into the final act. This isn't helped by bosses with ludicrously large health bars that it can feel you're just slowly and doggedly chipping away at, only for them to get back up with a brand new health bar multiple times. One particularly grating boss fight in a New York suburb just seemed to go on and on and on, as we drained no less than 4 separate health bars before they finally stayed down. The combat isn't bad by any stretch, not at all, but it somewhat lessens the impact of a fight when you're just thumping on in an enemy and it just doesn't seem to have any effect. The third act just generally feels a little bit less polished than others. Our game actually crashed to the PlayStation menu a few times, though hopefully this will all be fixed with a very early patch. These fights are outliers, however. Mostly Spider-Man 2 is a game that never allows you to get bored. It's quite brilliant how often it decides to switch things up and change the gameplay loop entirely, throwing in a little flashback to let you play as a different and pleasantly unexpected character, for example, or just taking the time to allow for a quieter, more meaningful moment to its stars, showing that what makes someone a hero isn't strength or flight or a radioactive spider bite, it's how they choose to treat people and community who need their help the most.
Yeah, same here. I've also been tutoring a high school kid.
And there are some wonderful character moments for everyone in the supporting cast, and some nice little callbacks to the previous games and to the Spider-Verse as a whole. It's a huge game, with tons of activities outside of the main quest, though that alone will take some time to explore. We do highly recommend engaging in side activities as you go though, as these feed into your suit, tech and gadget upgrades. Both Spider-Men have a stunning array of suits to unlock with lots of nostalgia for Spidey fans. Those suit tech upgrades offer more than just cosmetic enhancements, with upgrades to your health, damage, focus and traversal all available. Gadgets can help give you the edge in combat and shouldn't be avoided either. Luckily, the tech parts you need to unlock all of this aren't too difficult to accumulate, and there are some pretty great side stories hidden behind all the busy work too. The performances in Spider-Man 2 are universally brilliant, with Najee Jeter as Miles a particular standout. Kraven is a commanding presence, even if his hunters wear out their welcome by the end. And despite the Venom arc being extremely well-trodden Spider-Man territory at this point, Insomniac finds enough new ideas to keep things feeling fresh here throughout. Venom himself is a monstrosity. You always feel the threat posed long before it grows teeth and a tongue measuring at least 19 inches. Tony Todd was an inspired bit of casting there too. We don't want to say too much on the story for fear of spoilers, but every villain has been carefully chosen and very well utilised. Spider-Man 2 is a game with huge heart, and plenty of ideas left for another sequel too, if the endgame teases are anything to go by. There isn't anything wildly new here with its formula, but nor does there need to be, and nor would you want that. It has enough little tweaks to feel like an improvement on the previous game's systems, while still being comfortably familiar as a world that has been clearly so lovingly crafted, with both Spider-Men at its very centre. This is a game we were already fully sold on, being huge fans of Marvel Spider-Man and Spider-Man Miles Morales. Bigger doesn't always mean better, and Miles Morales was our standout favourite of those games for its focus on smaller scale adventures with real human cost, conviction and sacrifice. Spider-Man 2, by its very nature, has to go bigger in scale, and oh boy does it. But it still never forgets the small acts of bravery and kindness that really make someone a hero, alongside the ability to stop a falling building or beat 50 bad guys up with your bare hands. Miles and Peter can do it all, but they're better together, and this game proves it. When Spider-Man 3 swings around, we'll be ready. If you enjoyed this video, please do give it a like and a comment. And consider subscribing if you haven't already. We have a new video on the channel almost every day, so you'll always find something new to watch. Until then, we've got a New York to save. Bye!
Guess he wasn't happy to reconnect. Yeah, he's not really the nostalgic type.
Let me go, or I'll kill you.